Hey guys, welcome in. 2 o'clock on a pretty busy afternoon here. A lot of individual movers, a lot of individual storylines to get you up to speed on. Overall, market continues to slide, unfortunately. 1.29 right now for the S&P. 1.33 for the NASDAQ. It's been about tech. It's been about the NASDAQ in general downside all day long. Wanted to start with Amazon because there was those comments during lunchtime regarding this FTC lawsuit. So the FTC has gone ahead and filed this lawsuit against Amazon. They came out and said, if this court case goes in their favor, goes in the FTC's favor, get ready for higher prices and fewer products available on Amazon. Boo. Back to day lows, essentially right now, 3.3% on a day when the overall market, there it is, 3.3% on a day when the overall market is, as you can see, very, very red. The entire banking group downside. I was just reading through some position changes and some promotions that JP Morgan was awarding. A few executives going to different roles within JP Morgan. There was no reaction or any kind of movement as far as the stock is concerned. When you look inside of tech, it's the usual suspects. Oracle was down significantly right out of the gate this morning, 3.2% still. For ORCL leading the way as far as percentages go in this group. But Microsoft, yeah, 2% day for Microsoft, 2.25% for Google, and then some. Remember, coming up next week on the 4th, we'll get the Pixel launch event. 2+% day for Apple as well, Nvidia, AVGO. List goes on and on. Everything's down. End of the day. Hey guys. We'll get to them in a second here. As I'm speaking here, I was just seeing Amazon popping back up on volume. So get ready for day lows coming inbound right now. Guys, what a pretty ugly board there for tech specifically, including this one, Amazon, almost 3.5.
Yeah, let's just look at SLNO and the runners. If you're happy for the markets going up, you got to look at these small cap. I almost said crappers because Sharif had said it, but small cap runners, man, like they've been absolute fire. I happen to have SLNO up because it was making a run at that $30 level. But all of the other things that usually we care about on a daily basis, because hey, they move the market, and that's big cap tech, have been to the downside. The NASDAQ, it feels like, I don't want to say we're going to have a 2% day, but we're feeling a little bit heavy right now. And a lot of times when you cross that 1% mark and you're channel down, we're 1.4 as we speak. It wasn't a good end to last week. You had a little bit of a minute bounce yesterday. It feels like we could see that 2% kind of session. So kind of buckle up. 15,000 was last week, and then 14.9, and then 14.8 broke today, and 14.7 is the low. It just feels like we're stair-stepping 100 points at a time here on the NASDAQ. And if that's going to be the case, all arrows are continuing to point to the downside. Apple down 2%, which is, I mean, it's not even the worst of the big cap tech names. Amazon is almost double down what Apple is, down 3.5%, and about to get to that 126 level we're talking about. So maybe not the best day if you're looking at big cap tech, but there's always shorts to be had. I'm just in Apple and Square. Oddly enough, a couple of names for lunch money that we're talking about, which is as it should be. The nickel along, I feel like I'm just going to lose my 3 cents on Nikola, because it is the low float runner that was good yesterday, but it's kind of going nowhere right now. But it's flat. I shouldn't be complaining. It's really not against me. It's just not going anywhere. But market be red and looking like it's going to go further.
Yeah, look, we have one red name on our account today, and it's Microsoft. But Amazon, check, had the nice long. DraftKings, good trade there. Intel, like we just covered Intel. A sticky note name all the way 34.70, all the way down to 34 flat. I mean, that was a good one. Meta, we were just $3 in the money. We're still $2 in the money. Looking to probably take it out if we break through VWAP, to be honest with you, 298.25. But we only have a small piece left. I mean, we lost early on the long, and then we made it all back on the short. We talked about that. Obviously, we're positive on it, so that's good. Microsoft, we lost. Micron, we just said that. And Palantir, like, new position, but I don't know. Micron was really our best one as of late, man. We took this on the midday there, and we talked about it. We gave it to everybody. What goes up must come down, right there. So good trading there on Micron. Let's just wait to see, man. Like, I don't know what's up with Palantir here. Like, we just took a couple outs at 02 and 01s, but whatever, man. We're short at 6s. Like, it's not moving. Our best outs here on Palantir 14 flat. So let's see what happens next. And if you're following on Twitter, I just posted this. I don't know. I'm going to have to find out what this stat's all about, but it's right here. Jeff Bezos makes $1.43 million per hour. That's not bad. So I was looking at that, like, that's it. But no, shout out to Jeff Bezos and company, as well as hopefully one day we will own or create some sort of a conglomerate like Amazon. Although we keep on talking about Amazon. It's been a huge move, man. Amazon's continued to be a great runner. I actually added to some of my Amazon position today as well in the long-term position portfolio. I like this name, continuing to make moves down. I don't even care what the price is.
Did you add today, or was it like a stink bid that hit?
Today, I added it.
Oh, you added it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 8 of the last 9 days are red, and you're right in there for Amazon. So I like that trade. We added some Amazon, well, not added to our Amazon long-term position today.
All right, I wanted to show this real quick before we get into some things we were looking at this morning. This is not, it's the VIX, but it's the ETF version, so VXX, if you want to look at that. This is a 60-minute chart, so we've been complaining about lower volatility or wondering where volatility has gone. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, now 5 days in a row, straight to the upside for VXX, basically at day highs right now, taking out 2430. For the ETF again. So yeah, VIX higher, dollar higher, yields kind of chopping around this afternoon. We are going to have Frank Caberna coming up here in a little bit to touch on not only the yields, but PCE coming up. We have GDP coming up. So lots to discuss on the macro front ahead of this to come tomorrow, where we get a look at, I guess, and a demonstration, I'm sure, of Meta's Quest 3 headset. So 2-day event starts tomorrow. I'm sure we'll get a lot of great details from Mr. Zuckerberg during this event. But yeah, they're going right after Apple's Vision Pro. I saw a note during lunchtime from a very prominent analyst for Apple that was suggesting that not only are sales of the Apple Vision Pro not going to meet estimates, but production as well is also going to be too low.
And we heard about that production issue earlier on when they for Meta's product, because we know that that's a big sticking point for Apple's Vision Pro. I think they were talking about $3,500 US. That's going to put it out of a lot of people's price range, especially when credit card debt's at recession since Great Recession highs. And we'll see.
Not much to do with Meta today, guys, though. As far as the overall movement is concerned, kind of chopping around here.
Again. I mean, Apple and Meta are both to the downside. Meta rejected 300. I was in that one early, pivoted to Apple, but it almost doesn't matter what you're going to be short. We'll see if this ends up being something that hurts Apple. I think you cross that bridge when we get there. I wanted to pull up, I'm just going to use my trade ideas chart for this, because I think the weekly is telling a bit of a story. And you just saw, Sean was just talking about Amazon on some dips, but I'm looking at, you have 50 period and 200 period moving averages on the daily time frame they're going to be coming in. On the weekly, the 50 period seems like the next stop on Apple. That's sitting at 163, the 150 levels in play. You already have the 172, which is being tested. So they're just major support levels, as we were mentioning, obviously coming in here. And yesterday, we were sort of talking about the 174 support down to 173.5. So for this name, once it broke down at 175, it's like if you don't have the first trade, that's not where you were looking, then where do you go after that? And that's just simply for support to turn into resistance, and that's what happened here. 173.5, as we were mentioning during lunch money, was this 173.5, made the top there. If you get a second shot to short it, which we then did, they just put it on at that particular point. But it's like a get your stink bid in market. Like if you like Apple, or even, let me just put up Meta here, because I wanted to put the weekly chart up for Meta, and I already had the one up for Apple. If you like buying on dips, I find I love the weekly time frame. That's my favorite, and I like to look at the moving averages there. I mean, if like Meta fails 300, a reasonable pullback could take you to 250. I just think this is where you start getting stink bids on key levels, because When everyone else is panicking, you want to be taking advantage of those movements. So, I had a stink bid on Tesla. The 50 period here on Meta is just underneath 250. I think if you're me stink bidding, if the level's at 245, I probably put like 251.22. Actually, no, like 252.22, something along those lines. I'm not saying you get there tomorrow, but if you sniff that level, I'm going to make sure I want to fill down there. Lower high being put in, that's a reasonable pullback. The stock is a triple up from November of last year. For it to go 100 to 300 and pull back to 250, I mean, that's perfectly reasonable. I think a good place to buy it.
Yeah, we're lucky enough to have gone long down there near $100 on Meta and have recently taken some out and getting more in right now. We actually tweeted it out. I think there's been pretty good trades today on Meta. We tried the 296 long. That did not work. Well, sorry, 296.50. That's where we got out. Went down to 296. Then we shorted it. We just had $3 in the money, but I'm adding to the position now. I mean, maybe my price is getting worse now, obviously. As when you logged in, you might have saw me short $300 and 22 cents, which is the only short that we had right up here, right against this level. So again, when we took a short, we gave ourselves about 30 cents to make $3. Like, that's 10 to 1, but my best out is only $2 down there at 298 and change. So here we go. Now we have a position on. We're only going to give this to the quarters. Like, if we break above 299, we're going to give it to 299 quarter right now because we're already above the 200 period. So I'm just trying it on a reload here. If the market wants to fall down, great. And Sharif, man, you nailed it. You hit it right on the head. I only need to know about the price. My kid already wants the Oculus 3. So we have the Oculus 2. So all I need to worry about is what the price tag on that thing is. He told me, Dad, don't worry, it's only $500. So we'll wait to see if that is the case. And if it is, then man, he knows too much. But we'll see about that price. Oculus for $5, probably worth it. I'll probably wind up picking that up if that is the price. But the Vision Pro, $3,400 or whatever, I mean, that's going to be out of the pocket right there. I'm not going to be able to pay that. But we'll wait to see what happens with Meta. Until then, man, we'll just short because the market's down. I like the stock. I'm a long-term holder of this stock. I still think the PE is relatively reasonable here on Meta. Let me see what it is exactly. I thought it was 27 or something like that. On the PE, no, it's way up now. Now it's 34. So yeah, getting a little bit pricey there on Meta where it is right now. So, wouldn't be surprised if it does come down just a little bit. But there's another out right there. As we'll spend the money on the day trade here for Meta. Again, if you're just part of this, man, we just shorted $2.99. It just made 25 cents. We're looking for a little bit more. On a pullback in here for Meta. But look what is working, man. Hello. I don't know if something just hit on Micron, but wow, we on one today with Micron. There it is, a nice move to the downside. And hey, Brittany, we did it again there. So hopefully this continues to go to the downside. Palantir is what we really need to make moves lower here, PLTR.
What a day it's been as well. Speaking of downside, Tesla, I just saw making day lows here as well, coming back into essentially where it ended up holding out of the gate this morning, which was that pre-market low. But wow, what a reversal here. I mean, $7-8 worth of range on Tesla today. There wasn't much. A few analysts talking about Q3 delivery numbers to come in the short term here for Tesla Rivian as well.
Yeah, the deliveries, that's going to be an interesting look there, Brendo. 473,000 is what some people are expecting. Some others looking at the lower end of the range at 461. The real low end, the bears, are looking at 438,000 units on Q3. But the real story here today was that they may be involved in the EU's crackdown on subsidies on EVs coming out of China. A large part of those are made in the Shanghai facility, so we'll have to see how that pans out.
Made a decent effort, anyways, to get back towards that 250. What a failure, though. We're all the way back, guys.
Yeah, Tesla did not sustain its breakout this morning. It looked like it was going to go. I missed the 246 half break. On Tesla, and we ended up being able to get into Rivian as a sympathy play. Oddly enough, Rivian's holding up because it seems as if all of the smaller EV companies are the ones holding their gains today and not Tesla. Weird, but it happens. So it got to like 250. It is reversing. If you look for support levels this morning, you're down at about 242-ish. It looks like that 45 pivot zone can be the place to short. Just to give you an idea, when Tesla made the break and missed that, was able to get Rivian breaking out kind of in sympathy through that high, 22.25. It got to 22.70. It's holding up 5%, but this is a potential rollover as well. If the market continues to break lower, if we can't hold on to 22 here in Rivian, this could be a reversal into the short as well. So I'm going to have eyes on Tesla. They're currently in a couple of other names short, but Tesla breaks down. I think Rivian could go. I'm in Nikola. Hopefully that doesn't tend to care too much, but Nikola was good yesterday. Bought the dip in front of yesterday's high, and it's going nowhere but sideways. I'm sort of taking it off here. Not really running. I just like when previous resistance turns into support. But if it doesn't start going soon, these ones that go sideways, you can always get off of them at the end of the day. Watch out below. If Tesla takes out lows, I'm expecting a pivot and a reversal in Rivian, and I'd go from liking the long in that one to breaking short underneath 22.
All right, took some more covers there at 75. I don't know if Meta is going to go too much lower than where we are right now. I don't know why it keeps bouncing. I mean, the market is well below. So I'm a little bit nervous about this. So the NYSE, the NASDAQ is below the 50 period, below VWAP. The T-Horn's nowhere even near here. We're below the IB low. We're below everything right now. We're actually near day's low. And Meta, for some reason, is nowhere near day's low. So we are starting to pick this off right now, just as opposed to this. It's like, this makes sense to me. Market near day's low, Micron near, let's get another out here. Micron near day's low as well. So I like this for a trade. This makes sense to me. It's when things don't make any sense to me, like this Meta. Here we go. I'll take the out here on Meta. I mean, if this breaks through 299.25, I'm almost thinking about flipping this to a long. It's just, if it's going to be long, it's going to have to be somewhere near VWAP. And I don't know if we're going to fade out towards VWAP or not. Like Meta going on its own little jaunt here. So a little bit nervous about this position. I just wanted to skip over and talk about that. Obviously, we just talked a little bit about Meta, but my out is right here, right now, 299.26. So if this fades higher, man, we are going to get out. And then just say that's why we took these out at 75, why we were wondering. It was 25 cents worth of risk. Looks like we'll get stopped out here on the last half of the trade. So maybe, maybe not. But right now, that is what it is. Micron continuing to fall down. So DraftKings, we're going to talk about that next. And we had that on the sticky note this morning. And still a top stock around here.
Yeah, back and forth we go here for DraftKings as we grind our way along 28 bucks. Did try a number of times to get back above 28.50 and hold. But I was JP Morgan with a very positive note. Going to overweight on DKNG.
Yeah, and a 35% upside if you like their price target from where we're currently trading at. The main thing here was they're expanding into new markets and their cost of acquisition has gone down. We know that that was really high for them initially as they were giving all these promotions. That's since subsided, and JP Morgan endorsing them today.
Just seeing a comment there from, that was earlier though. Someone just reposting, Fed's Bowman spoke at 1:30. Someone was reposting that.
Okay. I mean, I thought, yeah, we had earlier stuff from the Fed, Kashkari this morning, but yeah, we're just now concerned about this market being down 2%. I kind of want to echo something like when Sean was sort of saying there, look, the market's at the lows and down 1.5%. You want to think about a big tech, anything in big tech that usually is going to follow the market. If it's showing strength, you're like, why is it not lower? That's one to think about. And then someone in the chat was asking, what does it mean about taking covers? So covering is just getting out of a position, right? So taking covers is just taking fills to get out of a position. DraftKings broke out today. Attempted a breakout today, I should say. It did break this. I want to call it a triple top. I know it's not exactly a triple top, but you go back to Friday, and then you go back to yesterday, and then you break out that high. It was a good initial move. I stopped it out. When I set up a breakout trade, I'm always going to give it to a pretty specific level, and usually it's the local bottom right before the open. In this case, it was down at the quarter, so it gets up there, it gets to like 28.75, which is about 30 cents in the money, and getting out. Got to reload when it wicked the bottom, and then it couldn't break out past like 28.75. That ends up being a bit of a reversal. I don't know if I call 28 a flat bottom break here, but 28 is support. So the good news for DraftKings, I think, would be that it's holding this 28 level, looking pretty solid. On the daily chart, it's not as impressive of a move, and underneath 30 bucks, just go back to the daily for a second, underneath 30 bucks does feel like it could be a bit of a sell zone. But it's trying to put in a green candle for the first time since it crossed the 50-period moving average. I think it can still have some legs into 30. Sometimes it was looking like it was going to be a stock that could have been like a 5%er today, but you can blame the market being down 1.5%. I think for the reason that we didn't get through 29 or even test that 30. Like this morning, I was thinking 30 bucks on this bad boy. Is what it is. Like sometimes you shoot a little bit too far and think the stock's going to go more than it does. In that particular case, I was a little greedy because I was thinking over $1 on the DraftKings move. I like that breakout a lot, but sometimes a scalp trade is just the better way to go, especially in a weak market on breakouts.
Man, we almost took the out there on Meta, and now it's blowing up to the downside, hitting down to the downside right there. We just sat at VWAP and missed that. We're at 21. So you go, yes, sir. There it is. Let's go, man.
Oh my God.
There's another one for everybody there. Look at this. We just put this on for you. Bang to the downside right there. So this is a shot where it was 25 cents worth of risk. Now in the money, 90 cents. So right there, another 4-to-1 trade for you. And like I said, man, DraftKings, we stayed in that pocket, and maybe we should be back into it because DraftKings was a really top stock. We actually played this two ways. One was the breakout, and then one was support, right? And so we try to play basically all styles on this name. I liked it at 28, but it eventually broke. So there's the break. First of all, we only got 25 cents on the break. Then it came back down. We took, maybe one or two outs, and maybe only just one out. Then it came back, and we got long at 28.20. Then we took that for 50 cents. Then it came back again. We got 28.11s. We took that for 25 cents. Then eventually it broke on our last 10% to the downside. So DraftKings, a sticky note monster winner, one more time for you there. So yeah, and Micron down, Meta now 70 cents, still making this lows. I'm just now disappointed. And remember, I sort of talked about Meta not going down when the market went down, then all of a sudden it broke. Yes, Meta very close right now. We are getting close to that dollar club as we are getting ready to break back down below 298 right now on META. Meta. Shout outs to my Jets fans right there. Micron trying to go. Meta now 75 cents in the money. We should maybe put a bid at 297.30. Nah, let's see if we can make days low right here, 296. See if we can get a little greedy on this position. See if we make $3 or $4 right here, right now.
Thank you. There was a spike downside there for GM and Ford all at the same time. Elon Musk saying a 40% raise. This is what Biden was suggesting, if you missed it during lunch. A 40% raise 32-hour work week would drive Big Three bankrupt in the fast lane. So that caused a day low spike there for GM, Ford, and Tesla did nothing. So all good. Yeah, let's talk about semis. Anything on semis today? I mean, Micron's earnings coming up. There wasn't much elsewhere.
The only semis green on my chart are SMCI up 0.5 point and Nvidia up 1/4 point. We saw Sean take that one south. He took Micron south. But the headline this morning was Neuron and the cash injection that it's getting from Foxconn. Essentially a different type of way to run these large language models locally rather than on the cloud. We'll see how they do. It's not the first time it's been attempted.
Yeah, just another one of those trying to join the fray. Here goes GM now, guys, right back up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They could be in trouble regardless of the exact outcome of this particular deal, right? I think legacy automakers might be in a little bit of trouble. Regardless, it doesn't really matter. I'm not sure there's much of a trade in GM or Ford when I looked at that chart. But the chip name that I traded today was going to be Intel. The Intel off of this level here. I liked a couple of things in the note. I mean, obviously 35 in here to 35.25. And when the market was testing resistance in the morning, I was like, okay, it's early. It's not at that price level. But I zoomed out and quickly found like this 34.75. Like the last time we failed the 35 level, this was 34.75, the short in there. I did reverse long when it double bottomed at 34. That was good for like 7 cents. And then right back underneath. It's continuing to fall to the downside on Intel. So it was strong early. It found a resistance spot. I always say when in doubt, you want to make sure you zoom out because that's where you can find some of these levels if it doesn't come to that perfect one. And if you look at the daily chart for Intel, rejection of 40, still technically putting in higher lows. Like if you were to draw yourself that trend line, like it's well beneath, it's well above that one in this 200 period moving average. If you draw like an even tighter slope one from this high, I think that's where you're running into some trouble here because you're on the verge of breaking this trend one way or another. You're through the 50 period. I think you could be headed to the 200 period here, which gives you another $3 of potential downside into $31 for Intel. It's going to be big to see what Micron's earnings happen to be. They're very cyclical. If there's enough of a slowdown there, this is one name that could be in trouble on Intel. And Nvidia had, as as Brendan just mentioned, I mean, Nvidia is the one that's up today, but I'm not a chartered market technician. This is starting to look head and shoulders-y. Like yesterday's high, 424, break of 424 into 428, and then a lower high at 424 again. So last I checked, when you have that, the same top as the other hump of the shoulder, if you break out that, sure, it can be bullish, but if you fail 424, this can come back into the downside. Usually it means there's a rejection of that breakout price. So while Nvidia is strong, I don't know here. It's showing some signs of a head and shoulder. And if this were to fall, that would be one way to get to 2% right quick, is if Nvidia takes out that 420 to the downside.
All right, Sharif, you nailed it right on the head there. We are just, this is a brand new style of trading. It's just called be patient, wait for your trade to come through. We waited for Micron. It came back in. We saw this top. We gave ourselves, what am I short? 53s. We gave ourselves, I tell you my out right now, 61s is my out. So we gave ourselves 10 cents worth of room to make 50 cents. So that's Micron, all right? Our first takes were 10 cents. We're always going to take something out to get 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, 5-to-1, 6-to-1. Down there to the downside. Very, very similar trading in Meta. So we'll go 1 for 1 there. And then the sticky note play, well, there's 2 sticky note plays of the day. I think Intel was one, obviously, as there it is. One, and if you guys are looking for if you guys are on PDT or anything like that, I mean, this is one trade. Boom to the down. I mean, I have 2 fills there. That's because I got filled on both of them. But there it is right there, out at 34.05. So as this just continues to make moves to the downside, I mean, there's Intel, there is that. Oh, we don't have any AMD today. Oh, that's too bad. AMD, I actually was really close, man, to getting into this position in and around lunchtime, but we kept missing it. We were actually waiting for something a little higher than where we are right now on this name. We are actually waiting in and about here, 38s, 39s, to give it to 50, but that never came in. So more work needed to be done here with AMD. If it can rip up into this area, we'll just use VWAP as our out, but still, following the market, I like a lot. As there goes Meta right now. Again, 25 cents worth of risk, 75 cents right now. Let's see if we can continue that. One red mark all day. And it's unfortunately, we had a big win on Microsoft, but we took a big hit early and then big move down. So we didn't make it all back, but we came pretty close. One red mark today. It's been another good day. It's been a good week. 2 days in, I guess.
All right, let's talk some Fisker. Trying to bounce here actually right now, getting back to $6 or attempting to get back to $6. That was the headline this morning. Yeah, they reached 5,000 total oceans that they have built, 300 a month, or sorry, per day. By the end of the year, they've delivered 900 total to date.
The concerning part here for me was they made 5,000 and they delivered 900, meaning the demand. They produced 5,000 and they delivered 900, meaning the demand may not be there for it, but in any event, it looks like a good number because producing this is part of the battle. So we'll keep an eye on this one. I tried to dance with this one at 6.35. It ended up breaking VWAP and breaking 6 and now below 6.
Some weird typos in this story that I was just reading, but 37,499. I want to say there's an extra 2 in there, but as far as what you get for the cost, this is actually a very attractive vehicle. It's just depressing that they can't get it made.
Well, no,
I actually downloaded the Fisker app, and then I kept getting all these ads all the time for it. So maybe they're making money on the ads.
It looks nice.
I could drive. I mean, I could buy an Ocean there. It's pretty cheap. We'll see. I like how they have the solar on the top. I don't know if.
Yeah, I think that's. I think that's. There's a lot of cool features about it, but the weird thing, of course, would be as Sharif was mentioning.
Money.
Most of the EV issues have been there's demand and you can't fill it. And if they're having the reverse problem, that maybe the news isn't as bullish, but it doesn't really matter how bullish the news is when there's a 42% short float. Like, okay, it's selling off now, but this morning was just an explosion on a breakout for Fisker and a lot of names. It's actually up 12% despite giving like a lot of this move back. Now, I didn't think it was going too far, unfortunately, so I had the 75 in here. Reversal right there at 610, thinking, yeah, baby, it's going to turn. Nope, it immediately stopped that out. I tried to reload, sorry, not a reload because the last position was reversing from long to short at 610, but on the way back in, I'm like, okay, if it can hold the 610, that breakout, we'll look for the dip buy. Got out of it right quick. That was an early breakout style trade. I just want to get to Mr. Westermeyer, D. Westermeyer in the chat had a super chat asking about KVYO, so I wanted to address Klaviyo. I feel as if outside of the first couple of days, not everyone has been paying too much attention to this of the 3 IPOs. Oddly enough, it's holding up decently. I'm a little bit surprised to see it hold up this nice. But, and there's always a but here, look at the 35 level on first day. It got destroyed off 35. Second day, 35 resistance. False break at 35 this morning, and now a lower high at 35. I mean, I haven't paid for locates on this, and the volume is pretty bad, so I don't know if the trade's going to be here, but it feels as if this is failing that 35 price, we could be testing back lower. Now, it plays both ways. If it breaks 35 and gets through that high, probably squeezes some people that probably shorted this when it first came out. But yeah, Klaviyo, that 35 is looking like an awesome level. But 700,000 in volume, it just goes to show. With IPOs, you trade them the first couple of days because that's where the action is. Oftentimes, they are not great day trades from a volume standpoint after that. Earnings, that'll come in. IPO lockups, those are times to get into those a little more heavily. But the spread's there. As I've watched it, I haven't even seen a single print on the level 2. So that usually means no trade. If I can watch a stock for 30 seconds and not see a print, I don't know if you want to trade it. Just one update. We are at 72s on Apple, but the NASDAQ is double bottoming here on the my 60-minute chart at 14.7. If we break 14.7, I think you hold on to your shorts because, like I said, we've been stair-stepping at least every 50 to 100 points to the downside.
All right. Just real quickly, man, we got reloaded there on Palantir. So we just took 8. Is that an 8 or a 7? I guess, let me check. I think it's a 7, actually. 7s. Okay, so we just got, sorry, I had some other fills in there as we went along. So we just got some 7s out, some 2s, trying to get some more out right now as we continue to go to the downside. Fisker, yeah, I like the car. I think it's going to be a good opportunity right there. But just trying to find out where we need some outs. So if Micron takes out, all right, I might as well just cancel my offer right now. I'm just doing this because some of you guys always want to know some outs. I'm going to use the 50-period moving average for half of these. So we'll go 68.13 out of 50%. In and accepted, so that's nice. And then maybe, look, Meta was 25 cents worth of risk. This came just pouring in. Like, remember I told you we wanted to get rid of some at 75, then we got a 50, so that's 2 to 1 risk to reward. That's 1, so these are all 1 to 1, then that's 2 to 1, then that is 4 to 1. So I feel like we just took that level right there. Let's put a 65 in there. So if we do wind up getting something, let's get out of half more at 65 right now. So 298, 66. We will get out of 50% of that, accepted and good to go. My out, I mean, I might just be in these the rest of the day. My out for Palantir is already, oopsies, is already locked and loaded, and that was at 11s. So again, a 7. Break out to 11, 4 cents, take 5 cents. So, you know, we're doing pretty good on that ratio. But without any further ado, let's go handle some business at the desk with Brendan.
All right, I was just reading about what Frank Caberna wants to talk about this afternoon. He's coming up in a few minutes. But yes, the rundown. Shout out to Michael Noss, by the way. I reached out to him this morning and asked him for this, which is an ATR scan. And a few hours later, ta-da! Best part about Trade Ideas, you get access to Mr. Noss as well. So yeah, go grab yourself a copy. You can use that QR code, bottom right corner of the screen, 20% off, TraderTV20. Web app version, great stuff. You can click on the actual stocks. You get the chart, you get the breakdown, you get the news, you get everything you need to know. Web app or full version available, TraderTV20. Go check out Trade Ideas.
I absolutely, you guys saw in Lunch Money, I love that picture-in-picture feature where you can have, like, how many times are you looking at like a 3-minute chart or a 1-minute or a 5-minute, and you're like, oh crap, what's going on in the daily? You can just literally double click it. So you're going back and forth without having to open a new chart. Starting to leverage that myself. Very quickly here, I'm going to get to Square in a second because I haven't mentioned that was like a Lunch Money play underneath that 45. But DMK, okay, it might be Hua-dunking here, but this is one of the runners from this morning that broke out, it halted above $1, got to 150. It just did a dip down into $1. And anytime you bounce off 101, I'm likely to play that bounce. It looks like it's probably going to take out one as we speak. I got to stop underneath 99 on this bad boy. Do not want to give it up too much. And I don't mind the notion of reversing into a short if it looks like it sets up. But there we go. I'm just instantly out. There we go. There's the stop. So I was able to get the fill there. That was a bit of a delay because from the time that I got out of position, again, it hits a tape there. Looking for that dip buy at 1. I'm pretty sure this is one that we mentioned during Lunch Money, that if it got a dip into the $1 level, I was going to take a shot in front of it. But now looking like it is giving up that level. So I wanted to show you that one quickly. And I know a lot of people were trading that one earlier today. Would have been nice if it could have held that $1 level. Square or block, as we're supposed to be calling it, that's 45 from yesterday. It was a good long yesterday, but today is a different day, and the market's down 1.5%. So today, it's a break of that 45 level and just flushing underneath. I had it once, and then it stopped out. We get back into it on the same premise, and it gets down into those lows. I don't know if we get down to 44.20. I think that's going to be up to the market. We're currently barcoding. That's not the right word. We're currently supporting 14.7 on the NASDAQ. I think if we break that level to the downside, anything that hasn't reached the low, you can expect to get down into whatever the next level of support would be. So watching the NASDAQ for that. I know there's a lot of people looking at that SNLO and some of the other flyers. Not in those, but don't get me wrong. Like we're not going to completely ignore them. We see those halters, we see those runners. We will get on over to them. Not much happening when it comes to that third position I have on Nikola. It's going absolutely sideways. Like the one day, it's like every single low float crapper that you want to call it in the EV space goes, and no push through on Nikola. Nvidia did just reject that head and shoulders again at 424. I think the rollover could be happening. If Nvidia breaks the low, I think it gets pretty nasty here. That's what takes the NASDAQ through.
I'm just editing these Fibonacci's right here. Let me go a little bit bigger on this one.
Our defaults are bad for these.
Thing is, no, I mean, the default I think is fine. It's just a matter of editing it.
It's the coloring.
Yeah, so I put tan on here to see how this looks. Okay, that's not so bad. I think you guys can see it. Yeah, the dash, dash, dash. We can maybe make it black. We don't have anything black on our charts for that. So the reason why we're looking at this is we just ran Meta top to bottom right there. So here's Meta with the short. So we'll put the fib down there for 100%. Then we want to see the 38 and the 62 or whatever the levels are right there. So we already took some out at that spot. We could have ran it from here. That's our recent position. But I just wanted to see what the levels were from the top where we had it initially. Now we've added to it. So I mean, we could run it again, but it wouldn't. This wouldn't be for a big play. And this is not really a retracement play. And if it does, I think we're getting close to getting out right now on the 50% line right there from the top to the bottom. That's 50% right now. We've already taken a fill exactly at that level, which was VWAP. So that's kind of the same. And if you come back down there, 68% or wait a second. Let me. What is it? Is it 62 point something? You said you knew all those levels. All right, hold on a second.
62, 38.
It's 61.8. So
well,
yeah,
I mean 62.
Yeah. So whoops. Oh no. Escape. Okay, good. So yeah, and then that's funny because that was right into there. No, I didn't put the 25 and all.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
I don't even really use these, so I'm just trying it out right now. But we'll try it. So right there, just coinciding with 61%. Right there, down to 297.70. So I was just looking for an out on this. Wow. Okay. Here we go. Fibonacci's be damned right now because downside goes Man, this day is getting better and better right now. Is Palantir coming in? We just got some O's, some 98s right now. We just got 98 right there. So here we go, man. Palantir. And again, if you're following me, that'd be fine. Follow all of us. But we tweeted this out right when we just took this position So we've been tweeting out this Palantir short again. So if you are looking and you happen to be away from your computer or whatever, we're tweeting out some of these positions as the day goes, and you can join us right now every single day. Make sure you watch us, follow us, and all of that. It is a Dollar Club winner now for Meta. We've talked about that. Micron's trying to get lower as well, so that's something to look at one more time for me. But yeah, so far so good here as we continue to rock and roll live every single day for you. I was going to say, we just got filled on something. What the hell was that? Meta, sorry. Yeah, Meta. Palantir, my bad. Palantir downside. Wow, Meta is making that move, guys. Right in again. I feel like this is an out here, so I'm just going to... it's so funny because I put in, there we go, we'll take it right there. Cha-ching, right now as we are easily now at the top of the day for you. And I guess top of the morning to everybody that's watching, somewhere where it's morning. But we just put that trade on, $2.99. We gave it to you. We almost got stopped out. So right there, live on the air, right there is $1.30 for you on Meta. As we said, man, we're stepping up and in right now on all these names. So far, so good. Let's just continue to see if we can make it rain on the show. Micron, 60 cents in the money, and thinking about taking some out.
Yeah, just quickly, Mr. Westermeyer, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Bought 10K of SWBI. That's Smith & Wesson, for those that don't know. On Friday, when the NOS boss called it out, and I've made enough to buy a Smith & Wesson, easy 6%. I would think you made more than that. Again, I don't know. I'm sure there's something you can buy that's expensive. I have no idea. It is actually breaking. Worth mentioning, it is breaking out the top. So on a day where the market is weak, it is like a 5th day in a row. Yeah, maybe the 6th day in a row to the upside. And a stock which has gotten going. This was on Friday from Vegas when Mr. Noss mentioned that he was liking this breakout. And it still looks like it has another 50 pennies to resistance. So shout out to that. That DMK, it got back above $1. Sometimes it's the old wick out game. Like, I'm usually going to put a stopper underneath that buck. But if you wick that bottom, I'm going to give it another shot here. Because if it breaks back up, I'm thinking that previous halt price around that 109 and gets a bit of a second salvo in. Rivian hasn't. I saw someone say Rivian had reversed. So, I mean, I'm looking for the breakdown on Rivian as well. I'm not really seeing it as a huge fail just yet. I'm kind of thinking 2240 looks like a resistance spot, but I'm looking for it to get underneath VWAP and start trading underneath and sort of take some levels out to the downside. Not really happening just yet, but Rivian is the name I like for a reversal play here. Already seeing it in a couple of shorts. This is one that I do want to add here. Looking pretty solid. SLNO, by the way, I suppose when the market took the low, it's like everything started to turn, or this just rejected the $30 level. Up 500% today. Legit. $4 to $30, which is completely insane. But it's real. If this does not hold on to 27 or this 2680 level, a VWAP retracement on this, that's a nasty move. And a lot of people, it's difficult risk reward to hang on to something like that. But understand it from a trend standpoint, the support is down around this 20 area. Like, that's where it based out. Had the halt down, recovery at $18.50, then the higher low at $19. So if this were to pull back, you could easily be looking at $19, $20. No one ever went broke taking profit, like I always say. Like, it's worth it to respect some of these levels. I'm not saying you got to get out, but I mean, my goodness, look at the daily chart on this. That is an absolutely impressive run. I was saying to Max, sometimes it would be nice to have just an immediate understanding when you read these press releases, understanding like the addressable market for some of these drugs and what it might end up being. I think in this particular case, it had a bit of a short float as well, which caused it to flush as much as it did do, which is pretty amazing to the upside. Like, anytime you're looking at 500%, it's good. Anytime it's consistently going higher and higher, I'm talking without any halts. This has not halted since before 10 o'clock. It's just been straight to upside. So strong mover in there. Got to watch out for this square. If we wick the bottom on the NASDAQ, we could be double tapping and double bottoming here on block. I'm not looking to reload this unless we get to 45. And Nvidia, every time I think we're rolling over, like, okay, a bit of a bounce there, and we're underneath VWAP. Like, we just took the low, so Nvidia taking low I think is going to be some help here. But we're not exactly flushing just yet. And yes, you're absolutely right, J-Money. Amazon is approaching 126. 126 is just a level on the daily. I don't know if it's going to hold up in this market for Amazon. Load, there you go. It has been screaming to the downside. This is a very similar chart. I think you pick your poison. The chart looks very similar to Apple to me. If we're bouncing here, my first thought on any bounce is the double bottom was 126.75, and you broke it there. Any bounce off 26, probably just a short again at 126.75. And I think I'd feel the same way about Apple here. Like if it were to bounce, I don't know that I wouldn't look at 172.5 for a reload spot there on Apple. The new position for me after all that is that DMK kind of getting right back in at 2s. If it gets to VWAP, I think that'll be pretty solid. Looking for the rubber band action. That's when you get a flush through off a support level. You catch a bit of a bid, and then the rubber band right back up into VWAP. If we get that, we'll be at a 70, 80%, and then we'll hold the last 20 very likely just to see how far it might want to go. I'm doubtful this can get past 125, but if we get even a decent bounce here, I'll like it. At 246, you know what's up. It's Tuesday. Time to see what Frank wants to talk about.
The Director of Strategy over at IG.com in Chicago back with us. Yes, on a Tuesday afternoon, Frank, ahead of what's going to be a very important week here, I think, for the overall market and the overall economic landscape here. We'll get a little macro for everyone and talk some GDP coming up because we do get the U.S. reading later in the week. But I wanted to make a couple of points here as far as what has happened today. You want to talk about the Bank of England here, but and you know the way equities have reacted off of the last decision from the Bank of England, but like multi-month lows once again here for the pound today. We're seeing multi-month highs on the other hand here again today for the US dollar and the DXY specifically across the board. It's just been a march higher as we've been discussing, and really no end in sight as we continue to get this higher rates for longer lingo.
Brendan, it continues to, the market continues to see the dovetailing of two ideas, which is global fear mounting in now not only places like China, Japan, and Australia, but coming over to Europe and the UK and the Eurozone. And you're seeing that in currencies, and that's dovetailing with continued US strength. So we'll get to that GDP piece in a second, because that'll really be a telltale sign of, is the US starting to go the way of this global economic slowdown that we're seeing in now multiple continents, or is the US continue to be siloed off? Because a lot of this US dollar bid that we're seeing has to do with that fear building abroad. And you have here the reaction to the Fed meeting and the Bank of England meeting across stocks. And this has been, to me, even before this GDP that's going to come out later in the week, this has been a little bit of a telltale sign that maybe the economic data hasn't started to run its course through the US as it has, like I say, in China and Japan and now Europe. But fear is definitely starting to spill over, because the stock market reacted negatively, Brendan, to both hawkish and what in terms of the economy would be deemed as confidence from the Fed, negative reaction there, and negative reaction from obviously the Bank of England coming out and not hiking, which was totally unexpected, a pause because they're worried about this volatility shaking out. And until now, the major economies, US, UK, Eurozone, also Canada and Australia to an extent, have been hiking amid some stock market turbulence over the course of the last couple of months, under the idea that this is, transitory. There's not much to this. But now we've had Australia pause, we've had the UK pause, we've had the Eurozone hike, but say that they're pretty much done. And Fed Chair Powell comes out with some hawkish statements last week, and we'll see if they end up hiking again, the Fed. But for right now, the stock market telling you that the fear is definitely spilling over, and the US dollar market telling you the same thing, is that's become a little bit of a flight to quality.
Yeah, I was just noting here, 105 and change, depending on when you look at it, obviously, lowest level since March for the euro. as well today. So, you know, it doesn't matter what you look at, obviously, as long as this march higher in the dollar continues, we're going to see just multi-month levels being not only hit, but taken out and then some to either direction, depending on which way you're looking. I want to get your thoughts on what happened at 10 o'clock this morning. We get this Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index. As a part of that, there's a 12-month look out at inflation rates and interest rates in relation to that. They're still saying in 12 months, we're going to be at 5.7%, according to the Conference Board. So, I mean, higher for longer continues to be coming from everywhere, it seems.
Yeah, you're seeing it all over the place. You're seeing it with today's reading and with the dot plot that was published last week, and you're seeing it with just the statements that you're getting from the Fed. And I know it's a little bit hard to read, but that red box there is actually 25 basis points higher than where we currently are. And so you're seeing the majority of Fed members wanting to go another 25 basis point. It's a slim majority, but it's a majority. And Powell obviously left it on the table, whereas Lagarde has talked that down, the ECB counterpart there in the Euro area. And then also, to your point there, Brendan, you look at next year, the 2024 estimates, and the bulk of that distribution amongst Fed members is at 5% or a little bit north of there. And you have to go out. Yeah, you see that built right around 5 to 5.25%. You have to go out to 2025 to get any semblance of that distribution coming around even 4%, let alone what people were thinking just back in March and April, which was the Fed will cut down to 3% by the end of next year. Those projections are totally changing over the course of the last couple of weeks, and especially in the last week. You talk about price extremes in the Forex space, which has obviously been the result of a lot of this differing of central bank talk and differing of just economy functioning over the course of the last couple of weeks. Japanese yen is already back at those 30-year lows, Brennan. They're about 100 pips away from last year's low, which was a low going all the way back to 1990. So you're seeing these extremes across Asian and also Australian currencies here against the US dollar. And now Europe has been the next to fall, so to speak. US dollar and US economic data and U.S. central bankers holding in, though, relative to all of this turmoil. It'll be really interesting to see not only this GDP print, but the price action in the stock market leading up to the next FOMC. But obviously, we're way too early on that. We're still a month out from that next meeting.
Let's dig into this GDP reading that's coming up this week, because there's going to be important parts to it, not only the headline number or the overall whether or not the economy grew or not. But what do we need to know as far as not only what's happened in the UK and Europe, but what we can expect with this US reading?
Yeah, you got a pretty interesting glimpse from the Bank of England last week. And I don't usually read too much into central bank, the press conferences and the rhetoric and everything. It's so staged. But I think a lot of the market reaction that we've seen since the FOMC on Wednesday and since the Bank of England on Thursday has been around this building fear of the global economic slowdown that we've seen. And they highlighted it. This is actually the first point in their statement after announcing what they would set the rate at. The first point was what's going on in the international economy. And the first points there being that the UK seeing decent GDP growth, but it's just been in line, and they've been the strongest. And then they bounce that out to the global growth and Euro area growth that's expected to slow. And then you pit that against US here, and the same statement is the highest of GDP growth out of all of these global economies. And it's the only one that they've noted is expected to increase. So this really sets up on a global scale, let alone, a US stock scale. A lot of eyes will be on this US GDP number to see if it falls in line or beats okay, maybe the US will continue to be siloed off. Maybe they are stronger and there's more flooding into US dollar and everything else. And maybe the stock market can pick itself back up. Whereas if you get a miss on this, I think you start to see significant seeping in of this global fear. I mean, you started seeing it leading into Thursday, but right now the expectation is right around 2%. We've been around that 2% growth rate the last several readings since the wackiness of the pandemic, where their measure went starkly negative and then extremely positive. Been sitting right there around 2%, whereas Japan, for example, has been dancing between, positive 50 basis points, positive 1%, and negative over the course of several of their recent readings. And so should be a really important number here, given, like I say, the fear really starting to seep in. Because I know you've been watching interest rates and forex and everything else along with me, and you've seen that fear building over the course of the last several weeks here, and it's just the last week or so that stocks are finally starting to see it. And I think any confidence that the U.S. can give would help to pick up this stock market that has been taken down over the course of the last 5 trading days.
Yeah, and I wanted to go back to, and you hit it on the head there exactly, with stocks finally starting to show some cracks here, and we've been wondering when this is coming. I mean, a lot of individual markets, individual names still holding up, better than the rest. But I wanted to get your thoughts on, we get these preliminary readings on these numbers. So there's PCE and then the GDP number on a quarterly basis. We get these interim kind of bi-weekly numbers that come out during the quarter, only to be finalized by the one that actually matters, that we're going to get this week. How much weight do you actually put on something that comes out in between when it actually matters?
Well, it helps to kind of reduce. It's all about reducing shock to the market, right? They instead of having just the quarterly growth rate, which is what this reading is, they have each month a reading of what they anticipate that quarterly growth rate to be, so that when it finally comes out, it's not as big of a shock. It's essentially having, Apple earnings forecasts monthly before their quarterly earnings hit. And so instead of Apple moving, 10% on earnings, maybe they move 2% on the first forecast, 2% on the second forecast. By the time it comes, they're only moving about 5%. So it's in order to reduce some of that volatility. And with that, it's usually a good measure. So it would be, I think, pretty crazy to see anything print outside of, 1/10 or 0.2% of that expectation of 2.1. But that being said, it makes our jobs a little bit easier, because if they get 2.1 or 2.2, then man, this might be reason for a stock bounce back here, some bullishness. But if they even print 1.9 or 2 even, I think you would expect to see those bears come out again and say, hey man, this is no longer just a China problem or just a Euro area problem. This is coming into the US, the economic slowdown that is. But again, a very interesting time to be not only trading, but watching all of these economic measures, watching interest rates and everything else. Because I'm sure you've noted, not to get too off track, but the yield curve inversion has been coming out actually amid all of this fear, and it's on that higher rates for longer. It's not interest rates getting slammed down because they think the Fed is going to have to cut rates. It's longer term rates moving higher. And so for right now in the US, yes, the S&P is down, almost 5% in the last 10 trading days or so, but this to me still feels like a little turbulence on that soft landing. But if numbers like GDP or next week's non-farm, the inflationary measures, if they start to get crushed, like really miss expectations, then this soft landing could turn into a crash pretty quickly.
Going back to that yield curve point, we had that conversation, I want to say a few months back anyways, about that, in the sense that typically we see, I think you actually brought that great chart overlaying the S&P with yield curve inversions, and typically we see the move in stocks happen as that curve rights itself and gets going back in the right direction. Quickly, PCE on Friday. Do we pay attention to that as well?
Absolutely, but it's so funny that this has now become less of a, we're worried about a high reading and what that's going to mean for interest rates climbing higher, and it's flipped on its head to, I almost think that more damage could be done to the stock market if we get a lower than expected reading. Maybe you get a knee-jerk reaction higher, great, interest rates don't have to move that high. They don't need to hike that last time. But I think you could see, as that number digests, if it comes in lower than expected, again, the pessimism of like, oh man, maybe this soft landing is turning into a little bit of an uncontrolled economic slowdown here in the US. Because you've seen just over the course of the last couple of months, and it was noted at the BOE meeting. And remember, I keep drawing on the UK, Brennan, because they've been kind of the closest to the US economically over the course of the last couple of years. And their inflation fell way more than expected over the course of the last couple of months here. And you're seeing all the weakness in their currency and economy and everything else. So it'll be really interesting to watch all these economic data points. They're now, to borrow a term from us traders here, they're two-sided again. These numbers are two-sided again, whereas in the past, it's been all fear of getting too hot of a number. You're likely to see price action on both sides of these numbers. It'll be really interesting.
Just noting as well, Michigan consumer sentiment coming up on Friday. Their 5-year inflation expectation, 2.7%. So they're a little bit more optimistic, I guess. Frank Caberna, Director of Strategy over at IG in Chicago. We appreciate it as always.
Thanks, Brennan.
Thanks as always, Frank. And, he held the market up there. We always talk about the Frank bounce. I think the Frank bounce was that we didn't necessarily break any lower, but that's about all you're going to get when the market's this week. Just quickly, there's a note on Target here, closing a few stores. If you look at volume spike, the only reason I'm mentioning it, Target getting its butt kicked today, which...
Is that again?
That's nothing new. Actually, you know what? Target's down the same as the NASDAQ, and the ES is down. It's marginally worse than the ES, so it's down again, but I shouldn't be saying getting its butt kicked. It's not outpacing the market, but there was just a volume spike on that closure. It looks like it went 50 cents to the downside and then bounced again. But the market has continued to head lower. Just a couple of quick notes there. I got back into that DMK 1s and 2s on the way back after the kind of break of the $1 level. Said if it got to 10 and VWAP, we take a bunch out, see if it can break VWAP. I usually think when you stair step like this, you're catching that rubber band bounce. Be happy if it goes 2s and breaks 15. Great if it breaks 115, but I'm only holding on to 15%, and I'm still getting another out. I'll have 5% if it breaks 115 as we go to Brendo.
Just quickly on this Target note, guys, they actually point to shrinkage, the theft and crime, as the reason for these closures, saying they cannot continue to operate these stores because of theft and organized retail crime. So, again, from Target.
The water was cold. That's why. Yeah, little George Costanza there.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're gonna get caught.
I like Amazon for that exact reason.
Costco as well. All of these names, I feel as if everyone's been talking about the whole how often do you say AI, and for retail, it's like how often are they talking about shrinkage? Because it's like every one of these. By the way, back through $1. This is why you take it out on that bounce. There's steps to the downside. Take profit. I was holding on to 15%. But once it gets under $1 the second time, I'm now out of that trade. You've got to take the profit when it's there. But yeah, this is not a good look for Target. And I should have pulled up the daily chart, because this is what I mean about Target. Down 1.5% is actually, at this point, almost not that bad for Target to be only as bad as the market. I don't know where the bottom is on this thing. I don't know what to tell you, but it hasn't found it yet. There hasn't been a support level since this most recent break of 120. I think maybe psychologically 100. We'll see what happens on Costco earnings. But shoot, you said that. I'm going to double check because I actually don't remember off the top of my head when
Costco's tonight.
It's tonight.
Yeah, join
I
me.
thought it was, for some reason I was thinking tomorrow, but today is, today's Tuesday.
No, it's tonight.
Oh goodness, this is bad. This is really bad timing for them. Really
Costco?
bad. No, for Target.
Every timing is bad timing for Target. It's been down, 14 of the last 15 days?
I know, but fresh lows before Costco as a comp, it's not good look.
Yeah.
Because money goes from one place to another, right? So
I
when
think
money...
the real comp is Walmart, but Walmart's at high.
But Walmart's also strong. It's just, it doesn't... these guys are they're getting their butt kicked. And a lot of times you look at a stock that's really far down, and you ask yourself, hey, is there an opportunity there? I'd rather take a bounce after other people have bought and started making a low that you can work off of than think that you can outsmart the market against the grain on something like a target. It's just nasty. That 2240 came in on Rivian. Let me go to the 3-minute chart. You can see it a little bit better there. This right here, 2240, kind of came in as Frank was talking. I jumped into it in the mid-30s, still holding out on VWAP, but if the market continues to trend down, I'm like, why not? Rivian looking like it's turning. Oddly enough, nickel bounced a couple of cents. If it gets to 150, I'm going to take some fills in front of it. Like I said, nickel's not really moving, so I'll take whatever I can get in this move downside. P in the chat just said, can we go AMD long? I mean, anybody can do anything. I haven't traded AMD today. It's got a bit of a double bottom. This market does not seem to want to bounce. 95.5 looks pretty good. 95 is a 50 period as well on the daily. Like the 200 period on the daily, not the 50, the 200 period, which is a much more bearish level. But hey, it's got a decent bottom. Yesterday's low is just underneath this. I think that could even be significant, bouncing off yesterday's lows.
Yeah, join. We don't have the link up yet. It'll go up pretty soon, but here it is right here. Join me and Brian Shannon live at 3:30. It's almost 3:30 now. At 4 o'clock when the market finally ends there. It's earnings, it's Costco, it's tonight. I think it's going to be, that's a bullish on earnings. I think we're going to have a fun one tonight. We'll watch out for Costco. We'll see what they're all up to there. But right now, Brian Shannon likes to talk about VWAP. We had a nice VWAP break there on Micron. And there it is now back down to the day's low, 70. It's so funny because Meta just ripped all the way back up here. We already took, what was that, 297.80? We talked about that, Phil. So that's, what's up with that? Fail right there. But
why? What was the fail for?
I'm not sure what the fail was for. Maybe Meta failing? I don't know. But there it comes right back up right now. So I'm thinking that we'll probably just get out of Meta now that it's starting to go back to the upside. We've already taken it out. It's a very positive name for us here today. So let's just zoom in a little bit here on Meta. That wick, let's just get it out at this wick high. 299.20. Where are we short? 9. Okay. 25 cents worth of risk. We'll sign up for that. So let's put that out right now. So Meta, you can all see me do it. 299.26. That'll be our out right there for Meta, just in case we rip back to the upside. Want to do the same thing here for MU? We can do that. Or we can just do it right here. We've had a really successful afternoon. We've more than doubled our net just here with you guys sitting here trading, relaxing, listening to Frank, putting on Thank you. Normally I'm the one hitting all this, but we got Fabian and Ramin. Thank you guys for that. As we've doubled our net just sitting here in the last hour. So Micron downside. Even though Palantir really hasn't gone, look where it went to. And you know your boy was sitting there with orders right at support. So boom to the downside 3 times as a charm. So that's why it's starting to add up a little bit more right now. We did cover. This is too bad. We covered our Intel at the day's low. We should still have, well, we shouldn't still have it. I was happy covering it at the low, just like Palantir. Unfortunately for us, we still have some Palantir left on board. And it looks like Meta's going to come out right now, which again, completely fine, man. We've already gotten out of all of this. We have 10% left. We've talked about that. I feel like it's well worth it right now. So that's going to be a good one into the close. What else can we trade? DraftKings. Look, man, we already hit DraftKings, a big sticky no name today. It's a nice name. We're positive on, well, we're only negative on one name, Microsoft. But right there, 297.90, that could be a break lower if this market really wants to crank. But DraftKings today, despite the market only heading down, despite the market being at day's low, everything like that. Look at this market today. All the way to the downside. Look at DraftKings. It's holding out very, very well. So if there's strength at some point in this market, watch out for DraftKings. Of course, they get the upgrade today, citing new customers, new markets that they're probably opening up into. So we'll see where DraftKings goes from here. But if they're not even that prominent in Europe yet, I know there's a lot of gambling over there. So I could see that obviously sticking out as well, not just North America coming through. I know here in Canada, it's much more FanDuel based than DraftKings. Of course. Not of course. Those of you not in Canada don't know that.
True.
PayPal 59.20. Right. Yeah, go ahead. I was going to talk about PayPal, but
actually, that's a good point. I almost had PayPal on lunch money and then thought against it because it was a long idea. I was like, got to be really picky with any long ideas for lunch money. Just one quick note. Nikola did get to 150, so I've now taken almost half of it out. I actually have an offer at 150 exactly. If it gets to the high of the day, I'll be kind of happy with that move if it can go. Was just asked, like, why is Square going up? I mean, the market has been barcoding off of the bottom. So I think it's barcoding off the bottom and trying to break back out. I don't want this getting back to 45. Like, it's not flushing through this level like I think it could. You're just getting a very muted move back into the downside. Rivian's not really going more than a couple of cents in the money from time to time. But, yeah, I was pretty close, and it was because we were talking about Square that I was looking at PayPal, because it felt like, I mean, it was relatively strong, and I was going to say, hey, break out 59.25. Like, this is 59.25, 59.25. Today's high, 59.22.5. So 59.25 looked like a break. I just wasn't in love with breakouts today because of the, quite frankly, because of how bad the market's been. Like, the market's very weak, and it's one thing a squeeze stock breaking out that has a short float or like a really depressed name. It's another one for something like a PayPal. But getting off the schneid a little bit here and showing signs of strength. I think we've said this a few times. Like, PayPal is at a minimum, PayPal's holding on to some lows where Square has been breaking them. So it's made a little temporary double bottom here that looks a little bit interesting to me. Although I just want to go back over to Rivian just very quickly. We did get a fill off VWAP there. We're shorting this local high 22.40. It just got to VWAP. I'll look for another leg underneath VWAP. If this market continues to break down, then I think this has some catch up to go. Just watching this Tesla 245 though. If Tesla breaks out, I would expect it could drag Rivian to the upside. I'm pretty sure Tesla breaking out is not going to help the Nikola position. That's just going to kind of glide on its own. It doesn't really care what the overall market is doing. But I'm happy it's finally starting to bounce. Disney's at VWAP? No. Disney was underneath $80 like 10 minutes ago. Wow, okay.
News on Disney?
No, I mean, it's actually a pretty good bounce on Disney. I thought Disney might have, like, it broke 80, consolidated off 78, 79, 75. I was actually thinking underneath 80, you get a breakdown, take the 75 short, give it to 80.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a double bottom here on the daily. I guess it's just bouncing off this double bottom on the daily. So nice move there on Disney. I don't wonder, let me think.
Short that.
Yeah, like that. My first instinct, it's Disney's trend is to the downside. And when a stock is trading to the downside, your first thought is like, why not just short it off of VWAP here? There's no news on Disney.
I don't see anything.
Yeah, like I think this probably just bounced off of that low on the daily and got a bit of a reprieve. Like shorts covering when you make a double bottom at a significant level. Like look at the last couple of sessions. Probably just some short covering when it couldn't follow through underneath the $80 level. So this is probably an opportunity to get a fade into VWAP here. The trend is your friend until the end when it bends. Showing some signs of bending here, but hey, you still take a shot at it.
Airbender. Yeah.
Wasn't that like a horrible, horrible movie?
I don't know. When you said that, it just reminded me of. I didn't see it. Airbender. I think it was pretty.
No, it was The Last Airbender.
Isn't it a book? There's a.
No, it was like a. Is it a book? Yeah, it's the animated. It's a.
Oh, he's telling us in our ear.
Maybe
there's an
it's
animated series. That's really good.
My brother is really into animation, so like he was the one that told me about it. But he said like I didn't watch the live action movie. He just said it was a dumpster fire. Like he's a huge fan of like Dragon Ball and all that stuff, and he said it was like one of the worst things he's ever seen. But you guys tell me.
Yeah, maybe it's not the greatest. Right there. What were we talking about? We're talking about Disney. I think you could probably short that. I do like that move for sure. But I just took some more out on Palantir at O's. Like it's only 7 cents, guys. But honestly, like the top of this move is 8. The bottom of this move is 97, so that's 11 cents. We're greater than half right now of the move. We're out of much more than half, unfortunately. We're out of like probably 70% or so of the trade as I look to see how many we have left. But there it is, man. It's a nice move. Hopefully we will pull back even lower. I'm still bidding all over the place, man. I'm bidding 98s, I'm bidding 95s, I'm bidding 91s. As well, in case we do get to flush. All right, so just a quick update. There's our meta out where we got in.
That's just
Tesla moving. Let's look at Disney quickly because.
What the heck was that?
What?
Oh, I know what I did.
Yeah.
No, I just keystroked out of all of Disney there.
Yeah, I like the Disney short. I mean, pulling back right there.
Now look
This
at
is
this
why I
chart.
said it, just because it pulled back right into the 200 period. That's a great short. So shout out to everybody that's up there in the chat and talked all about that. As there we go. We just got to fill, I guess, 99s. Yeah. Oh no, 98s. We just grab a 98 fill right now. Props it up on Palantir because there it is, man. Yeah, we are doing okay here today. So it's been a good one. And make sure that, of course, you do join me in just a matter of time. And thank you to Ramin for putting this together. Join us for Special Markets Recap episode with myself and Brian Shannon from Alpha Trends. We'll be here today talking everything. This dude wrote multiple books. We'll be talking about Costco. Oh, it should say Costco earnings. We'll just tag Costco. I'll do that as we go back.
Oh, yeah.
It says it right here, but we should tag it. We'll tag Costco. Big report coming tonight. Should be a fun one. At the end of the day, I am going to I'm going to like it, and then I'm going to retweet this and quote it as well. So we'll do that. It should be a fun time with Brian Chan. Hopefully a weekly contributor to the after show, the market recap. There it is, the markets recap. Because Neil, this is the markets afternoon.
Look, man,
We have the markets morning.
I butcher it sometimes throwing it to you guys. I think like 3 out of the last four days I've actually said the markets recap, but you guys know where you're going.
Yeah, it's all good.
You're going to the desk with Sean. You're just moving 12 feet over there. And what I was sort of getting at with Disney, as I went to put a bid, this happens sometimes, I went to put a bid out on Disney. I don't know what's going on with this chart. But anyways, VWAP is up here, but this chart's kind of messing with me. But I was in the short, and I keystroked out of all of it, which is frustrating. I'll try to get back in on the trend. The short is looking like it is the play, but you are getting a definite consolidation on the futures, to be sure. And the answer to a couple of people in the chat are saying, Neil, you will like One Piece. I've been told this by a lot of people. I have added it to my list on Netflix. I don't have a lot of time to watch TV, but I have this like little window in the evenings where I get like 15 to 20 minutes and I can watch like pieces of a show. One Piece is on my list. I'm pretty sure I'll start it at some point. It's going to take me a long time to get through it because anything that's an hour long, I'm usually watching like one episode every 3 days, if that makes any sense. But I've heard some really good things about it. So I'll definitely be looking at One Piece. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Like it's just, I get recommendations for what books to read and what shows will be good. And I do look forward to watching Dumb Money. I'm kind of hoping it goes to one of the streaming services. Because I don't know when I'll get a chance to be in the theater to watch it, but that looks pretty solid, that Dumb Money. There's some movies that I feel like 10 years after, like every trader watches it. Like every trader watched Boiler Room, Rogue Trader, every trader watched, Margin Call, every trader watched. I feel like Dumb Money is going to be...
Yeah, it's the same as all those.
Because I don't know anybody that watched it that's in the business that didn't like it.
Yeah.
That's only like a couple of people so far, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it just got released. So.
Yeah, it just got released.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to see it at TIFF, but I think it was just released this last weekend or maybe the weekend before.
Yeah, because TIFF is obviously before it goes out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was this weekend, I want to say. But I don't know if I can get my wife to go watch it. That's one of those.
My wife went. Yeah, it was a special thing. So, all right, let's go. Yeah, Billions. I kind of stopped watching that.
Matt Carn's Rogue Trader, you've got to.
I mean, The Big Short is obvious.
Big Short. I said Margin Call, but not Big Short.
Didn't we have the guy from Rogue Trader? Who did we have on?
Yes, we had Nick Leeson was on our show. Was on the show.
Yeah.
This was find it. It's on YouTube. We had Nick Leeson on the show. If you've never heard that story, I mean, if you're ever looking for the lessons of what not to do, then Nick Leeson, and I think he charges a lot for his talks. He talks about what not to do. But that is a fantastic story. I don't want to spoil too much for it if you never really looked it up.
Yeah, we are almost dollar clubbing right now with Micron as there it goes, man. Kaboom. To the downside goes Micron, and it looks like it's still wanting to continue its downside move. So there it is, man. Good one right now. There it goes. See ya. Micron there today, taking out the 50-period moving average, or trying to anyways. It's right about right now. Again, good trade. We're pretty patient. This is another trade that's about 5 to 1 again on the risk to reward. So that's pretty good. We'll take that hopefully to the bank at some point here. Although we've already cashed it out. Like I said, we got a lot out right there. So we only have like that 10% left. So Man. Sometimes we're good at holding, and sometimes we are not so good at holding. But I think Palantir, we did really good. It's 319. We are coming into the close. And again, let's just look at Costco right now. Join me live at 4 p.m. Someone asked in the chat there if you ever covered earnings, and yeah, of course, that's what we're doing today. So we will be doing that immediately after the show on the recap show. Here's Costco. It's, you know, just today, I mean, you're down 1%, and we talked about it being one of the only retailers now, especially even with Amazon continuing, like, why isn't this loading? If I hit enter again, anyways. All right, you're still below the 50-period moving average right now. I don't know if that's, let me call it up on another chart because
I wouldn't trust it if it's not loading.
I'm not trusting it. No, it is fine. It's fine on the 50. So right there, because we have more than 50 periods here.
Okay.
So it would make sense, right? If I was looking like a 100 period, probably don't have 100 days here. Well, hold on a second. This goes back to June 30th, so it's going to be close. But anyways, starting one of the only names, long story short, one of the only names that is starting to go below now the 50-period moving average. I mean, we just talked about Costco, Target, obviously Walmart, still the king. Oops, Walmart is going to be a New York name, WMT. If you ever see on there .NY, that's New York for us. NQ would be NASDAQ. Walmart still holding up pretty good. There it is right now. So Walmart hovering the 50-period moving average and, you know, not really testing it. I mean, that's a little bit of a test, but not really. And again, nice little break there going from 150 down to 146. Probably these are both near earnings right there and right there. So we'll see what happens next time. For me, you can do this right now. I'd sell Walmart. If I own this name, this is going to the downside. Sure, they've been really well, but if you don't like the retail space, I don't see why they would hold up, but they are. So for me, this would be the one here where I'd be looking downside on Walmart just because everything else is so well done to the upside. We saw Nordstrom's as well, JWN. Oh,
well, we didn't look at
let's see how bad that is. I mean,
Nordstrom's is a...
Forget about it.
That's a different story.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, they're all just getting crushed.
It's not funny.
Macy's and all
It's
that.
not that funny, I guess.
So, yeah, Costco, a big box retailer. Obviously, Nordstrom's a little different story. You want to talk about shrinkage, Neil. Yeah, those guys getting looted left, right, and center. Maybe California, et cetera, should do something about their legal system.
It's ridiculous, first of all. I mean, whatever. We don't really get into politics. But come on, man. Like, there are consequences to when you make, and again, I'm probably the wrong person to say it, but when you make changes to like laws are also oddly enough incentives. So when you make laws less strict for certain activities, to a certain extent, you end up sort of incentivizing them in some ways. Again, that's kind of like an economics thing. And I'm going to apologize for my charts in advance, but I'm having that issue where it's not filling in the entire thing in the afternoon. Rivian just broke through. I'm just going to pull up my black chart for Rivian because that should be fine on NASDAQ. You know what? I'll just go to I'll go to the 15-minute. So we had the 22.40, the short off of that level. It took out this local bottom at 22.25. It then just got through support at 22.15. It's headed down to 22 even. So we like that rollover trade. We thought if the market made a fresh low, Rivian had some catching up to do. Well, it's starting to catch up to the downside here. So that is working. Apple is still charging lower. It's underneath 172. I don't know where the bottom is, but it's getting close to the trail because it's 323. 7 minutes to the early look on the imbalances. 25 to 27 minutes, obviously, until we actually get the imbalances. I think there could be a small bounce somewhere in the markets. But I meant to go over this name today. It was Williams-Sonoma was the big, massive runner. We always talk about when there's a rumor about potentially a company being bought, if it's not a company, if the next couple of days you don't actually hear something firm, just look out for the bit of a sell-off because the high yesterday on Williams-Sonoma was $157.41. What is that exactly? Like 36 cents, I want to say, up top there. And if you look at today's high, more or less the same thing. It's like it just couldn't go any further when there was no firm action. It actually showed you a fail of yesterday's high up here, like broke the high a couple of wicks above, pulled a VWAP, then put in a lower high under yesterday's top, and then flushed back in. It's still up over the 2 days, but it's just a little bit of a lesson. If somebody says there's a potential deal or they're looking at strategic alternatives or there's speculation that there might be an offer without anything firm, oftentimes that second day, if you don't get a follow-up, there's people taking that easy profit, and that was 10% on Williams-Sonoma. So just a bit of a cautionary tale. Incidentally enough, I'm kind of wondering why not to have looked short. The next time I see something like this, that was an obvious, You don't have to be in there early, but it gave you the lower high to short off as well. Like right at 1242, you're shorting off of yesterday's high and the lower high. Great looking move. Still a great stock. Well, I mean, still a great stock yesterday, but today obviously a different day. I'm going to tempt fate to see if my Rivian chart's any better. It's starting to fill in a little bit. Yeah, rolling over, VWAP's going to be messed up on this chart because I'm missing a few periods on that one. The target for the Apple short, I'm trailing it right now. Like, to me, there isn't a target on it because you're already underneath the 172 support. So if it breaks back above 172, I get out. Otherwise, I think I want to hold it into the close. That's what I think can be. Let's just see how far it can go. Intel, I got out and reversed at 34. That was a mistake. Sometimes you get anchored to things from the day before. Like 34 in the afternoon was a good hold on Intel. Like it ended up putting in a higher low. So when it started bouncing off that level, I'm like, okay, the short's done. We can bounce. Nope. Intel continues to flush to the downside through that 34 level. Where are we headed? A little place I'd like to call the 200 period. Maybe we get to the 200 period moving average at some point, but these are all good stink bid areas. If you like a stock, I think this market pullback, the 200 is going to look pretty good. And I meant to say this when you were talking about Costco.
Yeah.
I'm actually, you know what? I'm just going to, let me just pull up my trade ideas chart. Because I feel like if I pull up my day chart, I'm not going to see the 200 period moving average. What's crazy about Costco on the daily, the 200 period would require almost a 10% move to the downside for it to get down here. And it's got all kinds of support at 500. Let's just say if you were a person thinking about covering some Walmart or something at the top, I mean, Costco would be a gift at 500 bucks. I would tend to think, like, to start a dollar cost average, like that's a level I love to start dollar cost averaging into stocks when they start approaching the 200 period if I really like the story. So maybe you see that tomorrow. I have no idea. Ian Rispetto, are you guys buying anything for your personal portfolio at these levels? If so, what stands out? Literally these levels, I don't actually have any. Like I got recently filled on Tesla at 222. I do have stink bids. Well, okay, stink bids are very unlikely to come in, but that's what I'm working with right now. Oh goodness, what's wrong with that? Oh yeah, that's right. It's got this crazy wick on the Amazon chart all the way to like 2,500. On Amazon, I have 200 period stink bids out in front. Like I'm bidding in front of 115 here, and the 200 period sits like down about 113. Like I'm stink bidding that stock. Nvidia, I'm looking for it to break 400 and challenge down underneath 373. If it can take out this level here, I think I want longs. I don't have any bids on Nvidia, but underneath 373, if that gets taken down, I think that's the zone where I would want to be picking that one up. The 200 period sits at about like 320, and this is. Like when I say stink bid, I'm not saying these stocks are going to those levels. I'm 100% sure Amazon's going to 115. I'm 100% sure Nvidia is going down to 330 or 350. I'm not sure about that. But if it gets to those levels, I'm going to pick some up. 100%. Another thing that I like to look at, and I meant to say this when you were talking about Meta, because you mentioned Meta and its PE ratio. Once you get back into the 20s, like specifically 20 PE is an all-in. All-in's a bad word, but that's one where you just stick it in there and say, let's pick it, let's get that on Meta. Underneath 30, like I want to wait for that to be under 30 for valuation, specifically because over 30 has been a problem zone for Meta going all the way back to 2020. Like at 2020, it was resistance, 30 PE. It was a fail break there. So I think you wait till this gets underneath the 30 PE, and it's been a bit of a value play when it's done that. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. It's just, I've got like some serious stink bids out. Hopefully they can hit in the next month or two if we get a decent sized pullback.
Okay, good. I tweeted out I bought some Oracle today and some Amazon. So I like Oracle ahead of the 200 period moving average. Right now, it's just they missed on their report. So
That's another one.
It's down there. So yeah, I just bought some for the first time. Again, I don't know. Do I not even have the? I wonder if I even have the 200 period moving average on here.
Yeah, there it is. It's 100.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's right there. Yeah, so 100. Yeah, okay. So, dripping down doesn't look great, but we'll see. You got to try to buy something at
When everyone else is panicking. What's
yeah,
the quote
we'll just
again?
wait. All right. So that's that right now. All right. I said we probably wouldn't do too much. We have our outs set, and I'm just going to adjust the Micron out. We got good out there. remember I told you like it felt like there was maybe something a little wrong. Whoops. Oh, we're still on Fibonacci. Seems like there was something a little wrong with Meta there, so we got out. We talked about that all day. It's surprising that we're actually doing quite well on it because the long was right and then the short was right, but now that the market's at day's low, like what, minus 500 points on the Dow or something, Meta's going upside right now, so strange. We'll put that in our pipe and smoke it for tomorrow. We'll check out if Meta wants to get going tomorrow. I'm not going to go long today, but this is a good breaking spot long. I mean, even this high of the day, it needs to get to 301 before I really get excited about it, but that is something for sure. All right, so now my Micron stop used to be at 68.10. Remember, it was all the way up here when we were following the 50-period moving average. But now you can see where this is. And again, this is a trade that we put on for you at the beginning of the show. It's now 67.80, I mean, give or take, right? So I'm happy getting out of that. So let's do that together, 67.81. These are just, they're trailing stops, but not really. Like I'm just re-looking at these and put out for 100%. We'll put these out, yeah, 100% is fine. I mean, it's 3:30 already. I was gonna say, do I wanna hold this? But no. All right, so, you know, it's like a trailing stop, but if I put only a 10-cent trailing stop, I would've got stopped out already right there. You know, so it's a little bit better than a trailing stop. We'll see if it wants to work. If you are really super into this position and, you know, you're like, where am I going to get out? And I want to make sure I maximize my out and maximize all my profit. I would take something out right now. It's $1 in the money. I would take something out now because we've bounced off of here, 61, 62. Or if you don't want to wait for 80s, I mean, this is getting better. It's now 75. You know, you could get out right here, like a break of 70, 75. So I'm going to give it a little bit more room to the upside, like 5 more cents. Not like it's a lot. We'll see what that's going to do. And then right here too, Palantir. It's a good name. I mean, we're happy with it. We just got a bunch out there at 94. We talked. Was it 94? No, 95. 95 right there. My next out was 91. We only went to 92 there. So a little bit of a miss there on the last piece of this. We only have about 15% left of our Palantir trade. So let's look for something else.
We just got the early look. I just wanted to yell.
Yeah, what is it? Sure.
It's 376 million to the buy side. Is the early look on the imbalance. Shout out to ScarJo Rabbit. Actually had it before I was going to yell it out there. And congratulations there. You're right. This is the best trading community. It's like we don't even get to it. You guys are taking care of business for us at time. I was actually, and this is like my morbid curiosity. I happened to be looking at IMVT and was curious where Adara got out because I know she had that one to the long side. This stock, we didn't talk about this, and if it moved a little bit more in the afternoon, I think we probably would have. But WowWeWa, where there's some biotech stocks that were high flyers today. This being one of them, 100%. And this ain't a small company. Like this is not a small one. I think it's. I mean, it was a $6 billion market cap. I don't know exactly what it is right now, but it's certainly impressive. My trailing stop on Apple could get touched here. Let's just quickly see. Yeah, a little bit of a bounce happening. Could get trailed out. Like this is a trail out because we're hanging on to it. Goodness, that chart. Rivian here. This one I'm going to hang on to, though. I feel it has a lot of room to catch up, so this is like the new one, which didn't come anywhere near a big flush. So I want to give it some chance because I think if it breaks down, you can get well under that 22 level. Crap stock. Just seen Neil use Y charts. Anyone use them? So, I mean, we're not really the only affiliation we have is with Trade Ideas. I just like to have there was a free source I used to use for historical PE, and then all of a sudden, like they wanted me to pay, which we hate doing because we do our stuff for free here. So we're like, why can't everybody else? And so I found this Y charts. I've never used Y charts for anything except to go over historical PE. So I can't tell you if they're good, if they're bad. I just happen to like looking at historical PE charts. And if this one starts charging me, then hopefully you guys will tell me another free one out there that I can look at. I thought FinViz had it, but I feel like theirs is behind a paywall.
Yeah, why would Y charts charge you? Does it say you got it?
No. I used something before Y charts.
Oh, I don't think Y charts will charge.
And then that one, I forget the name of it, but then they started charging me. This Rivian.
Right.
I should stop torturing you guys with my Rivian chart, which is missing half today.
Yeah, we are. What we were looking at something there, and it Starbucks, PayPal. I mean, Google. What else you guys want to look at? We could take a look quickly at Sofi. I know that's a name that a lot of you are in right now. Okay, I think we talked about this the other day, breaking through that $8 mark on Sofi. Yeah, yuck, man. I mean, Sofi not looking good either. when does SoFi report? I mean, this is going to be another one right here. So there's Micron, September 27th, so tomorrow, aftermarket for Micron as we get all started up again, man. Let's see these next quarters. What do we got? Where's SoFi? So October 31st, so still, sorry, I wasn't looking for when they reported. Short flow, 12, I know SoFi just reported. 12%, not just, 12% rate there. Coming back in, so we got a month until their report. You're looking at a 200 period moving average down here at $7, breaking below the 50, and you could see what happens when you reject 50 period moving average. I mean, it just absolutely took down $8, sorry, from there. There's the $8 break, nice and clean to the downside.
I have a guess. I know you don't have anchored view up on that chart,
No,
obviously,
I do
because others
not.
don't. But is that same chart on SoFi? Any chance you could? I could pull it up if you.
But
if
this
you can.
one?
Yeah, the same one.
Daily?
Just not. Like if you look at that breakout from $5 back in May.
Yeah, down here.
Like I don't wonder if like an anchored VWAP probably when that 50 period
I
went.
think the VWAP's broken already.
Yeah, you probably were breaking the anchor at the same time.
Yeah.
In that level, like
Probably.
SoFi, maybe it gets to $7 and bounces. When I said that yesterday, it was just because I don't know where else you could look for a bounce other than $5 is to look at the 200 period moving average. $5, if SoFi gets to $5, I think that's worth taking a shot on the long,
Yeah.
just looking at the chart. I think you go for it. And I would I'd much rather be longing a SoFi bounce at $5 than a Lucid bounce at, was it Lucid today? It was
Five. Lucid was $5. I
Lucid
don't
was
know
at
what it is
$5.
now. Yeah.
Like I'd feel better. It held, but it got to
Down 15%? No. Oh, that's FFIE.
no. I was just looking at Faraday, but Lucid was the other one bouncing off $5 right now. Like I'd rather buy SoFi for a shot at $5 than Lucid for a shot at $5. But Faraday Future, that's what I was going to get to, and then just kind of had a random thought. This stock is doing the Mullen thing, and I think it's okay. So today it's breaking 250. It continues to flush to the downside. Forget about moving averages on a stock, which is a reverse split and finding a bottom. I'm just thinking very simply. If the stock shows a bounce off too this week, I want to take a shot at it because this whole reverse split, die, and then eventually do a squeeze to the upside, it's been worth it if you can find it because we're talking these stocks doubling up when they do it. So either it's at $2 or it's at $1 or if it goes all the way to like the pre-split bottom, kind of like what Mullen did, that's like 20 cents. That's 3 levels. I like them all. Spiky, thank you for the super chat. WSM, William Sonoma. It's not going again, is it? Oh, it's breaking down.
Oh, down?
Down, baby. Your street in a Range Rover. Wow. Yeah, it is breaking down. Once there was no, not confirmation, but once there was no further news on a potential deal, where are you going to get your continuation from? Like if it's bucking the trend in the market because someone might buy them, and then today there's nothing firming that up and the market's headed down, well, then sometimes it's just an easy short. But I mean, I wish I'd shorted William Sonoma instead of Rivian because William Sonoma's rollover is just better. It's good. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Probably should have put that one on there. Yeah, a lot is looking pretty ugly today, especially the retailers. I mean, Amazon getting punked. We already showed you guys Target, William Sonoma. That Nordstrom's, I don't even know what to say about like the Nordstrom's flush. Nordstrom's actually hasn't rolled over today, but it was that daily chart that you showed up there because Nordstrom's has a decent short float. But this flat bottom break at $14 potentially on Nordstrom's looks pretty darn nasty as well. Like that's a very sick looking chart for a name that's been around a long, long time. That's crazy. That's crazy. 14, you know what? Do I like a 14 break if we get it tomorrow on Nordstrom's?
Maybe. It's not. I mean, I think this market has a lot more to go down to the downside. So I don't know, man. Like I said, I just started some of those positions, starter positions right now. Someone said I had a heart attack when I saw Lucid down there. No, it's not. It's not. I don't own Lucid. I'm wondering about buying some here. I mean, $5. You know, short squeeze potential on Lucid, I would think. Let me go see here.
21.
Yeah, that's not so bad. I think it's a little bit higher.
Sweet
yeah,
Christmas.
40.
Buy Lucid at 5. No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
40?
40.
Yeah.
So 21. Yeah, little off. I would have thought a little. I said 28, so I was off as well. But yeah, I did not expect that. 40% short as Lucid just gets drilled to the bottom.
When do they report?
So they don't report till a long time, man. November 8th. right now. So I don't want to like be like, hey, you know, we're making plays based on short flows. It has nothing. It does have something to do with that, but it's more just like, is it worth nothing? I mean, it seems like it is. $800 million market cap. Like, what did they come to market with? How many billions? Pretty sad, man. I honestly think, I mean, that's part of the reason why I don't trust any of the Chinese EVs, period. Like, I know Sharif, for some reason, likes Li Auto. We've talked about that. Not for some reason. He's laid out why. And I
like this chart.
For me, I want to stay away from all of these EV names.
Oh, look
man.
out.
I'm just buying Tesla on weakness. But right now, you're going to see this right now. Let's go. We smoking again here on Palantir. I mean, we just got the 91s right there. So, I mean, that's a good trade. We are almost out, pennies away now, as it's 3:40 heading into the closing show. Make sure you join me and Brian Shannon from Alpha Trends today for the recap show. That should be a good one. We just broke the 50-period moving average, but remember, we were going to keep on looking at that. It went to 75. We're stuck at 80 right now. I'm just not going to change my stop order because it's going to trigger in just a matter of seconds.
Yeah, I just got trailed out on Apple.
Yeah, I feel like the market's
172.
Were you short Apple?
I was short Apple.
Oh, yeah,
this trail out just happened. 272. Block just came out as well. So we're in the register on a couple of those. Rivian, I'm still hanging on to. Shout out to Zion in the chat. Down, baby. Go Street in a Range Rover. We love it. We love old school hip hop. I'll tell you this right now. Like, if it wasn't, forget about Adara's first trade. I mean, it was a great trade. But the second she said she loved Nas on the hip hop, like, that was it. Like,
Yeah.
Like,
We've been talking about Nasty Nas for a while. Queensbridge, stand the hell up.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we're not picky around here. If you got a passion for the markets and you're a good person, we're gonna have fun. But if you like old school hip hop, then we're definitely cool with you. As the camera stays right in front when you're just chilling out on the phone, it's all good.
Well, I have a plumbing issue in my house right now, so I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah, we have some issues on the top, man. The crown molding. I think there has to be a leak in my top floor bathroom, so I'm not happy. I got to go home today, cut up the ceiling, see what the hell's going on.
We had that when we moved in. Like, our house,
yeah.
We bought like a 55-year-old house, and like there was,
like
right away when we came in, we're like, oh, okay, we got to do something upstairs. But anyways, it doesn't matter, health stuff.
Yeah.
Those are the problems you have. Real life issues, real time, that's what we're all about here.
Buy a damn
but
condo.
The market, don't get me started on condo life, because you know exactly how I feel.
We're golfing on Sunday.
I love condos.
25. Yeah, I love condos too, but not. I mean, for the kids,
you can't.
Too expensive, man. Like a 2,000 square foot condo would be $1.5 million at least here in Toronto. At least. At least more than that.
Way more.
Yeah, way more. Maybe two. Well, it depends. Anyways, all right. I forget what I was going to say now as I'm all distracted.
You were saying the weather and golfing.
Oh, yeah, the weather. Yeah, we're golfing actually near you, Lion's Head there in Brampton.
I love Lions.
Yeah, on Lion's Head. So we're going to be golfing there on Sunday. So it's
great
25 degrees, which is like 80 degrees Celsius or so. So 82, I think. That should be a lot of fun.
That's where the Michael Jordan used to have his celebrity golf tournament. Used to come through Lionhead. I was there one year. It was like, actually, I already told this story. I met George Gervin there. I like George Gervin on the Spurs, so I got a chance to meet him. That was pretty cool. There's a bunch of stars there, like Charles Barkley was there, Michael, but everybody was around those two.
Yeah. That's why I'm going there because Michael invited me there.
Isn't it? Well, I don't know if this is true. Isn't it one of like the 5 or 10 best courses? It's one of
the
the
top
best
course, but it's
definitely a top.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever had like a Canadian Open or anything like that.
I'm not a golfer, so I don't know these things. I just know it has a good reputation.
It's good. Whatever. It's like it's north of $100 to play around, so it's a little bit expensive, but it's that's what you pay these days. Anyways,
how much wine you can? No, just kidding.
Up and around here. Yeah. So all right, but now with this plumbing issue, I guess maybe I need to get some little bit more money than I think coming back in. But you know what? Today's been a good day. We've had one after another after another. I wish I had this guy's money, but we're giving you a lot of them. Right now. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not even 4. We've given many winning trades today, including we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 names today, and we're 6-1 today. So another big day here. We're going to finish the day with no LFT, and part of that is because Palantir is making moves to the downside. Well, no, I don't think. I mean, I only have 10 minutes to go over to the desk. And then right now we have Micron just came out at 81, so boom to the downside. That was a good trade. We do not. We spun the dollar club. I'm not sure if it was for Micron, but it did get almost in there. Got about 90 cents worth of a winner, and then we wind up taking out 80 cents there to the top side on that play right now. So yeah, nice little move into the close. Like I said, the SPY's ripping a little bit. I think that number that Brendan gave us was a sell, right? So
No, it was small
buy. Small buy. Okay, sorry,
Small
I was
buy.
I was on the message from Ramin, so shout out to Ramin there as she works on the, or no, it's Fabian actually, that worked on the recap show. Thumbnail. Who was that? Which one of you was that? Fabian.
They're not sure. How do you not know which one?
Fabian, I think it was, that worked on it. There it is, no change. So it's 376 million to buy. So if those of you wondering about what we're talking about and why it's somewhat important, we have the market on close orders. So Kenview, okay. Kenview with the sell, maybe some indexing today. But other than that, so all of these orders are going to hit at 350. And what that means is at 350, they're all going to become public. Right now, these are all from the floor broker, but being a floor, it just means it's only New York. The NASDAQ is all electronic, and that will get bumped to us at 350. So right now you're seeing all NY names on here, so nothing to do with NASDAQ. So that number that Brendan gives us, although obviously a valid number, does not include NASDAQ names and does not include the end game. Like at some point at 350, 348, 349, these are going to get updated, and then you're going to get the whole story. So these are just ones that we have from our broker. So it's not every single imbalance that exists. So you're going to have to wait to see what that number is. I'm actually going to get rid of it right now. Only source the NASDAQ and the NYSE. Get rid of the floor broker because at 350, we're going to get live updates. And he just gave us 360 to buy. On Friday, I wasn't here, but I still saw the chat. It was 5 billion to sell. You know, so you're looking for B's here, not M's.
It was the third Friday, but.
Third Friday, yes. Yeah. No, it was the fourth.
Wasn't it? Was
fourth?
It fourth or third?
No, because remember we had.
No,
Hold on a second.
I'm actually.
1, 2, 3, fourth Friday.
It was a fourth.
This is the 5th Friday coming up this month.
There was. Oh, you know what? There were a couple of index actions, but it wasn't the big day, so it was a bit unexpected, a little bit. But just a couple of things. Tane in the chat there, you were asking about the short float on this penny stock, and it doesn't have one. The thing to keep in mind, sometimes for like these, and a lot of these runners, and this is not going anywhere, it's just as big a deal if the float is really small when it starts going, as opposed to what the short float is, because it's kind of the same mechanism. But the float is really tiny, then a very small amount of money buying up all the available stock, and suddenly there's no availability if people still need to close their shorts. So a 40% short interest is just as interesting in terms of volatility when it starts breaking out as something with a like 2 million or 3 million or tiny float. And a 40 million float on a penny stock, like, trust me, like, that's not a lot of money for a 17-cent stock when the float is 47 million. I mean, there's a lot of accounts, like day trading accounts can soak that up, let alone like a fund or something along those lines. But we are 2.5 minutes away from the imbalances. I'm just going to keep getting, you're not breaking 50 on Nicola here, so we're just going to get out of that. Rivian, I'm still holding on. I have my stop at break even. I'm looking for this one to break down. This is the only one left in here. Apple came out. I want to say unfortunately, but not really. Like the market was probably going to bounce somewhere, and I think we got a decent out back at that 172. I felt if we could have resolved lower, it'd be flush city. Oh, I wanted to go over to, I mean, we talked about Costco, they're going to be reporting. The other name is like Amazon with a bit of a bounce, but that 126 level, 126 was the big level on the daily for Amazon. Maybe a shot that it could fail break through 126 at 350. And this move continues to the downside. It's an early look buy imbalance. It doesn't mean it has to come out of buy. Like the market could still come out of sell imbalance, flipping in the other direction. On the off chance that it does, I'm going to be looking at Amazon in particular. As we said, early look, the only thing that stands out from the early imbalances that Sean mentioned was Kenview, which I feel like every single day in the last few months, Kenview has been a big imbalance after that J&J spinoff, and I don't think it's ever done anything, to be honest with you. So we'll probably ignore that if it comes out big sell.
Just trying to find some information here on what we're expecting from Costco.
Oh, yeah, someone asked
tonight. Yeah, it's going to be, I was just looking, man. Like, some of these ratings on here. I'm just pulling this up from Benzinga right now, as we're getting only a minute away, so we're getting pretty close to having to talk about this. But here's some ratings here from Benzinga, but this is just the last 30 days. So we have only 4 ratings: bullish, somewhat bullish, indifferent. Nothing on the sell side right now. So I feel like there's a lot of love for Costco coming into this. Loyalty members, stuff like that coming in for Costco. The only the only fear that I would have for Costco, of course, is their last same-store sales reading was lower. And that's not really a good sign. And that sort of has caused a little bit of not a crater, but off the top 570 down to 550. So considering the way this market has been going in the last little while, I'm not surprised at what Costco's talking about right now. Okay, the imbalances is out. So what was it? It's not out yet. Oh, it's out, but we don't have it necessarily. Let me just get this over to you right now. Okay, it is Intel downside right now. So let me just get this over to see if anything's happening to the stock. So there's Intel.
Apple sell.
Is Apple a sell? I don't know. We're getting all these. Oh, here, size. There it is. Okay, Apple sell. Yeah, probably creating another market move to the downside. No, not really.
Oh,
I got to zoom in here. We have some bad wicks. That's Apple. I'm only now in Palantir, so you guys know that. As Micron, I don't know what happened to Micron, but there goes Palantir right back into 91. What's happening to Micron? Micron upside, that was a good out. So let's just exit our day here on PLTR, and what a good day it was.
Yes, sir. And the top name on that
list.
there's
Palantir.
ZYNE. If
Oh,
you saw
just got
that, it was a random stock for $2 million. It's a buyout delete tomorrow, so that actually might stay. Everything else I'm expecting to pair off. Like, I expect Kenvue to pair off. I 100% expect Intel to pair off because it always does. It's just how it rolls. But this stock is a buyout deletion, so that deal is closing. It's a cash and CVR deal. Apple did get back down to 172. Amazon didn't really spike up. I was looking for like a spike to 126 that could be faded at 350. That never happened. I'm still in Rivian. I have a break-even stop on it. We'll see what happens. I didn't even see Rivian on the imbalances. Like, it might be there, but if it is there, I didn't see it. Nothing too crazy happening. How about Tesla? I'm assuming you meant Tesla for the imbalance. I didn't see it. Tesla. I mean, if it's not a few 100,000, then it's kind of a nothing burger. Like, I'd sort it by T, but if I don't see it for a few 100,000, then it's kind of a nothing burger. Palantir, 280 to buy. Still at 250,000, I still don't see Tesla. I probably have to sort it alphabetically to find Tesla, but suffice to say, there isn't a significant imbalance on Tesla. You'd see it by now.
All right. Yeah, so we actually got flushed down there, got a 91 or so fill, as I thought I guess we didn't get fully filled there. I thought we were out of everything. We still have a small piece. We'll take some out hopefully at 93 if we can get it. But yeah, good day to wrap it all up at the end of the day. So yeah, a couple good trades. Let me see what Meta wound up doing. So again, just the funniest stock of the day for me, and it's a positive one. So, not complaining about I'm just going to, I can't even punch out there on Palantir, trying to punch the 94s. This is a stock that, honestly, I thought today would be a little bit lower than where it was. We're going to finish the day at down 0.6 against the market down 1.6. So that's not normal there for Meta. But again, coming into play, 3 bills right now for Meta on the top side. We'll look to maybe go long on that tomorrow, see if it can hold. I mean, again, we'll see where we are. There we go. We finally got out of our Palantir. I'll just show it to you right now. Right there, we got a 93.5. I got a dark pool print there at the end. So all is well on this one. I'm going to pass over to Brendan, then I'm going to flip over and get ready for the closing show. I just tweeted something out about Costco as well. So let's go handle some business.
Brought to you by IG.com. Trade Forex pairs like Euro USD with spreads as low as 0.8 pips and 0 commissions at IG. Terms and conditions apply.
Come to my screen. Sean's going to move over to the desk there. Just a couple of things that was asked. Fisker does have a very, very tiny sell imbalance. Tesla was 225,000 to the buy side. Did have to sort it alphabetically to find it. Nothing too big. I mean, Tesla, if Tesla's over 500,000, that is actually a pretty decent size. So still the same top names in there. 355, usually you expect a little bit of a flip on the imbalances. But you see Intel, notice how it doesn't even move. This is because Intel, it comes out as a big imbalance and then never seems to actually hold it by the end. And if you get a residual imbalance at the end of the day, you can see movement in the stock. When it pairs off, absolutely nothing is going to happen. I'm only in Rivian at this particular point. If you have any questions about individual names, let me know. We got 5 minutes here. Oh, Femi did pull back. Shout out to Jay Mountain Love. Joe Mountain Love called it on Femi. Yeah, this one was looking pretty solid. Like it was going to make that late day run and maybe be an aftermarket runner. And that is what we call a huadunk. Failed break at the top. Take your profit when you get a chance. This was maybe one of the better $1 holds I've seen in a while. It halted to the upside, halted down, retested $1, and bounced off exactly $1 at 9.51. Like we saw that DMK, like in the second bounce off $1, got to like 113 or so. Not bad. This one went clean to about 130 before any retracement. And even then, like it never retested the dollar even and got you up to 160. That is what you're looking for that $1 hold. It's a psychological level, but sometimes like the most gimmicky trades can be the absolute best. Just to give you a look here, you don't see Intel anymore. 355, Intel and balance gone. I, for one, am shocked. It happens every single time. I put zero stock in an imbalance on that stock, and the same thing. I usually say that with Visa as well. Those imbalances are pretty much nasty. If you're topping off your day, I hope you covered shorts because this market is making a little bit of a mini bounce. Worth noting, Nvidia did eventually roll over. See, this would have also been better than. The Rivian was okay. This was just better. This was definitely better on Nvidia. It was looking relatively strong, but that rollover was pretty solid. I'm surprised people weren't yelling at me in the chat for saying, why didn't you just go into that Nvidia short you were talking about? That's what you should do. The whole point of a community is to call each other out and keep each other accountable. And on that vein, it's also to do this. Come on, everybody.
Hola, like and subscribe today.
She's back. She's right behind me. We missed Katrine yesterday. If anything, you should be hitting the like because Adara with the fantastic trade. Never got an update. Adara, where'd you get out of that?
I got out before it was
Here, we'll just give you the mic.
So I got out at about
Buddy shot.
like 40.90. It went up to 41, and I was waiting for it to go further. Then it dropped down, and at that point, I was freaking out. It went below 39. At that point, it went back up to 40.90, and it was kind of didn't seem like there's a lot of support. So I got out. Then it ended up going up way higher. Could have stayed in, but I'm happy with the trade I had.
Well, we're all happy that you put that trade on and are willing to learn in front of everybody. Like, it's one thing to learn to trade. It's another thing to learn to trade in front of the entire audience that we have here, which is fantastic. And if you're wondering what we're talking about, IMVT, maybe one of the single most impressive. I mean, like, to see a stock up 100%, like this is not, I was saying earlier, this is not some fly-by-night tiny name here. This is a huge runner that managed to hold out. The 40 level was absolute gold. Look at the support at 40. It's done 34 million shares, all holding for the majority of the day. The second half of that day, which is the majority of it past noon, you're holding highs on significant volume. I'm just going to get out of Rivian. I'm going to take the quarters. The last is only going to be 10 cents, but it is not moving any further, unfortunately. Ryan, you guys are incredible. This is why we talk about it being a great community. We see them in the chat all the time. We got a question the other day. It was like, someone had a question about earnings, and I just shouted a couple of people, not earnings, it was actually on options relating to earnings. I'm like, hey, here's a couple of people in the chat that you can ask about because they know their ish when it comes to options, and that's what it's all about here. Adara is learning quickly. She's doing fantastic. Larry Wanta, Sean Neal, great trading this downtrend. It is what it is, man. We all everybody prefers when the market goes up, except for maybe Michael Burry, I suppose. I mean, there's some people, like I've never heard of any perma bears, but I know they're out there. But I've been called that myself. I don't know why. Like I'll short or long stocks as a day trader. I actually don't short anything in my personal account ever. I might sell some covered calls. That's about it. But this market has been pulling back, and ever since last week, I think you've been looking to just play that trend. It doesn't always work. Like yesterday sucked for the shorts, but it was a blip when looking at the overall trend. I think as long as you have a reason to get in and a reason to get out, that's fine, but following the trend is a good place to start. Lucid, let's go. After hours, Chris J. I mean, looking at Lucid today, I'm a little bit surprised at how big that short float is. I'm not going to lie. I'm surprised it's as big as it is. That $5, the fact that it's holding, maybe there is something brewing for this stock. I've got it on the watch list for this thing. If it can take out another level, it's held 5, great start. Can it take another level out and start squeezing? Because it gets really interesting when you squeeze out some levels like this. We saw that with Fisker today. They have a big short float. Lucid, not that different. 20 seconds to go. Hey, what? I just said I'm not really a bear. I think it's unfair. I just thought a lot of things were overvalued after 2020, and there were a lot of good shorts out there. But anyways, get the camera off me because the countdown is on. It's the end of a Tuesday, which was a good day for the shorts. And in 5, 4, 3, 2, and... Thank you very much, Adara. Ringing the closing bell, but you know what? It's never over here until we get the after show, which I'm supposed to call the market recap. But before we head on to Sean and his special guest, Mr. Shannon, I want to give a shout out to the 1s and 2s over there. Fabian, you're cool again. And of course, Ramin doing a fantastic job. The midday, absolute fire. We have Max back in the building. We had Adara on for half of the midday. Sharif doing a great job teaching. I think this is a fun segment. Everyone seems to love it, and it's just a regular feature of the show at this particular point. Shout out to Brennan, as always, doing a great job on the 1s and 2s. You know who I am, and you know where you're headed. Excited for some Costco earnings. I don't hope the stock goes down, but hey, you can't get a stink bid if the stock doesn't head to the downside. I wouldn't mind if there was an opportunity to get into that one. But enough of me. Let's get on over the desk. It's time for your market recap.
Hey everyone, what's going on? Thank you so much for joining me one more time as we get a 5-minute break, and we're right back on it here for you and the market recap. Of course, we will have